The bye week is over. You know what that means? Miami Dolphin football is back.
You're listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network.
Hello, Miami Dolphin fans, and welcome to the Same Old Dolphin Show, part of the DolphinsTalk.com podcast network. I'm Josh Katzker. With me today and every day is my brother from the exact same mother, Aaron the Brain. Aaron, say hello to the people.
Hello to the people.
You did it. Unmuted on the first try. It's beautiful. It's like we've been doing this for years. Brain, how the heck are you?
I took the bye week to, refocus. I got rid of the Papa shot. I relaxed a little bit.
Did you get rid of the ping pong table also?
I went back to basics. I got rid of the ping pong table.
Excellent.
I did things to get myself centered. I got back to cooking and cooked some massaman curry. I was watching some football stress-free, and I came ready to bring it to you for this home stretch of the 2025 season. Even though the title says the 2026 home stretch, I think you meant the 2025 home stretch.
Oh, my God. The title does say 2026. Oh, we'll leave it in.
You left the Papa shot in.
Tells you where I'm thinking, where my focus is on this team. I'm looking ahead to 2026 already. This was Aaron the Brain. We actually got a live reaction of Aaron the Brain looking at the title of this video. There he is, looking at me. He's LeBron James. I'm Smith right here.
J.R. Smith.
I'm J.R. Smith. Yeah.
Classic. Famous photo right there.
Yeah. Fantastic. Brain, how was your week away from Miami Dolphins football?
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. No stress. Had a nice weekend. Went to a couple of markets. Got a haircut. Like I said, did some cooking. Started working on my trivia questions for the upcoming holiday trivia that we're putting on for our friends in a few weeks. Really solid weekend. Got myself a new blanket at the Indigenous Arts craft fair over the weekend. Got a really cool art piece / blanket. Way more enjoyable than any Dolphins games this season, considering the fact that the only enjoyable Dolphins games that we've had this season have been, they were supposed to be enjoyable because they win, but they end up not being enjoyable because they're the games that they're not winning the games until you want them to lose. So now they're winning games and it's still not enjoyable. When you want them to win, they can't win, they lose, and then it's annoying. And then you want them to lose, so that you just get it over with already, and then they start winning. So this team can't please you in any way. So you take the bye week and you please yourself.
Yeah, well, good. Well, I'm glad you had a very good week away. Since we last spoke on Thursday, I have driven to the Chicagoland area, which is where I am now. I'm not in the regular Same Old Dolphins studio. So if my backdrop looks a little different, I am in my dear friend's office. One of the two offices in this house. It's the one that you can actually navigate into successfully. The other one, the kids were in there and they were playing, so it's a mess. But this one is nice and clean. So I'm in here set up for the studio and set up for the podcast. So we're able to get a show in tonight here on the show. And as we said, bye week is over. It's time to turn our attention back to Miami Dolphins football for another 6 weeks. And that's what we're here to talk about tonight. So that's what we're going to talk about this week on the show. It's a little earlier in the week than we typically record our preview show, but we are, in fact, doing a preview for the Saints game on Sunday. But before we do that, got a few things that we want to take care of in terms of some house cleaning stuff. First off, make sure you're following us on Blue Sky at Amplified to Rock, at Aaron the Brain, at Sam Old Dolphins. You can also follow at Sam Old Dolphins on Instagram now. If you haven't done that yet, we hope you'll jump on there. Make sure you're visiting DolphinsTalk.com each and every day, your one-stop shop for all things Miami Dolphins. Make sure you download, rate, review, and subscribe to the Sam Old Dolphins Show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, SoundCloud, everywhere you get your podcast. If you're watching live on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, shout out to you. Go ahead and smash that like button right now. Subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on demand on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you. Shout out to everybody watching on the I Am a Miami Dolphin Fan Facebook page run by the fantastic Mr. Carlos Hernandez. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention that caneswear.com is the place to do all of your holiday shopping for the Miami Dolphin, Miami Heat, Florida Marlins. I guess they're the Miami Marlins now. Miami Hurricanes, Florida Gators, Florida State Seminoles, UCF Knights, Inter Miami FC into the Eastern Conference Final in MLS. So if you've got somebody in your life that you're shopping for gear or accessories related to any of those teams in South Florida, caneswear.com is the spot to go. Even if you need to ship internationally, they're going to take care of that for you as well. So it's caneswear.com, caneswear.com. Another thing that I want to tell everybody about before we get going. I know if you listen to any kind of Dolphins Talk podcast on a regular basis, you've by now certainly heard us talk about Dolphins Talk Extra. Well, today we are announcing that we've got two Dolphins Talk Extra deals that are launching this week in honor of Thanksgiving and Black Friday. So here they are. First off, this one starts on Thanksgiving, midnight Thursday morning on the East Coast. Starting then, all the way through the end of the Dolphins' final regular season game, you can sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra, and your first month will be only $1. If you use the promo code DTXMAS, DTXMAS, use that, and I'll go ahead and put that in the chat here. Promo code DTXMAS. Put that code in. If you've never signed up for Dolphins Talk Extra before, you can get that first month for only $1. So a fantastic deal. We hope you'll come over there. Check out some of the fun things that we've got going on over there. Our Discord, we are about to start a brand new Survivor Pool Redux for all of our Dolphins Talk Extra members. So it's, again, a great reason to sign up this week is that you can get in for our brand new second half of the season Survivor Pool contest. And the winner of the Survivor Pool contest is getting a Jarvis Landry signed Dolphins mini helmet. The reason that this competition is going on is because I was so good at it the first time that I won. And so I decided I'm donating the prize back so that everybody else can get in and have another opportunity to win. So sign up for the Dolphins Talk Extra this Thursday. You can get that first month for $1 if you've never signed up before, and you will get in before this Sunday's games, and you can enter the Survivor Pool contest. If you sign up after the Survivor Pool contest, because the discount is going to run through the end of the regular season, that's great too. We're happy to have your support, but you won't be able to enter into the Survivor Pool. Another thing that I want to mention, excuse me, I'm still dealing with a cough and my voice is struggling here. But anyway, the other thing I want to mention is that we tell you all the time that you can join Dolphins Talk Extra for as little as $3 a month. Or in this case, if you use the promo code DTXMAS, you can join for $1 a month. But you can also save if you subscribe on an annual basis rather than going month to month. If you have the ability to subscribe for an annual membership, you're paying for 10 months and then you're getting 2 months for free. So you can do that as well. But because that discount is not big enough, we are offering a very exclusive 4-day Black Friday special starting midnight on Black Friday, running through the end of Cyber Monday for those 4 days. you can sign up to Dolphins Talk Extra on an annual basis and save 50% off of the regular annual price, regardless of what tier. We've got a $3 tier, $5 tier, and $10 tier. Whatever tier you want to sign up for, you can sign up starting midnight Black Friday using the promo code BF25. And again, I'll put that in the chat, BF25, starting on Black Friday, and you can sign up for an annual subscription and get 50% off the regular rate. That's a super great deal, and it is only running through the end of Cyber Monday. And again, once you're in Dolphins Talk Extra, you get bonus podcasts, including the bonus segment of Sods Extra that we're doing immediately after we come off of the air with our main show here. We're going to do a Patreon exclusive show where we'll go around the NFL, we'll talk a little Thanksgiving. Aaron will give us a bagel of the week. It's all very exciting. So that's coming up next. You also get Mike's college football show. You'll also get me and Mike are going to sit down and do a big conversation about media rights and how all of these different sports leagues have all of these different providers that they've got deals with. So that, like, if you're a fan, you got to watch all the games of your team on 11 different places. I think we're going to do a podcast about that soon. So that's extra content coming your way. As I said, you get access to the contest. You also get access to the Discord server. Lots of great stuff over there at Dolphins Talk Extra. So head on over to patreon.com/Dolphins Talk and sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra now, taking it or wait till Thursday and Friday when those deals kick in. But we hope that you will consider joining the really solid group of folks that we got hanging out over there at Dolphins Talk Extra. All right, Brandon, we've kind of beaten around the bush. It's time to get back into Dolphins football. Before we do that, before we get into the game, I guess we can talk about Dolphins got a little bit of positive news today in that it sounds like Austin Jackson is going to be back in the lineup on Sunday against the Saints, which is really promising. We also know that Darren Waller is back to practicing and that his practice window has been opened. With my understanding of how the Dolphins typically do things, I would be kind of surprised if Waller were to play this week. But it does sound like he's trending in the right direction to return to the lineup soon. And it also sounds like they're about to open the practice window for Andrew Meyer as well. Though, again, I don't know that we're going to see him this week. No updates yet on James Daniels or anybody else like Jason Sanders. No news there. But good news regarding Austin Jackson. So, Brain, is this a situation where Austin Jackson comes back in and you kick Larry Borom to the bench, or is it a situation where you bring back Austin Jackson, you kick Cole Strange to the bench and move Larry Borom inside?
That's a good question. I think you probably move Larry Borom to the bench, but also Larry Borom maybe takes on the Daniel Brunskill role of being the sixth offensive lineman. And you know, if Cole Strange struggles and they like Larry Borom at guard, then they can move him inside to guard. But I think with Larry Borom playing tackle all season long and getting all the reps at tackle, I'd be surprised if they moved him inside. But look, if Austin Jackson came back and they've been working him at guard, like, it makes sense to get your best five out there. If Larry Borom is a better guard than Cole Strange, then absolutely. But I think Cole Strange has done a decent job over the last few weeks. I mean, if you look back at the last game that the Dolphins played, one of the things that they were most successful at doing was running off the right side of the line behind Larry Borom at tackle and Cole Strange at guard. So I don't know that you're necessarily going to mess with that and start playing guys out of the position that you've played them in. I do think it's interesting to see, you know, if they do go a heavy set, do they line up Larry Borom outside of Austin Jackson? Do they line up Austin Jackson outside of Larry Borom? What about when Darren Waller comes back? the Dolphins mostly went to this heavy 6 offensive line game plan in the wake of injuries to not just Darren Waller, but also to Julian Hill, and Julian Hill being their best, run blocker. Does getting Darren Waller back change that at all? Probably not, because Darren Waller is mostly just a big receiver, a glorified big receiver, big slot receiver. But I think it's one of the cool things about having a bye week is that you're getting all of this together in the midst of a bye week, and you've had this extra time to play with this stuff. And that Mike McDaniel, being an offensive guy, being a former run game coordinator, the last time the Dolphins had, extra time to practice was what, the Buffalo or the Jets game? Was that the Monday night game? And They came out and they threw a new wrinkle in that we hadn't seen, and they were, doing a lot of.
Actually, the last time it was the Buffalo game. It was because they had that week and a half off after the Ravens game.
That's right. Yeah. I think we're going to see some things where there's going to be a few wrinkles, and I think they've got this to their advantage. But I also think, and we'll get into the matchups in this, I don't think you need to necessarily go deep into the bag of tricks to beat the Saints. I think you should, if you've got wrinkles, this might be a situation where you might want to hold on to those things and play things close to the vest. Yes, you're playing in this situation where you've got to, like, if we're being delusional and we're suspending our disbelief and we're calling this team, in the hunt for the playoffs, you've got to win out and get help. So you don't have any margin for error. So that would tell you, don't be conservative. Throw whatever you have out there. But at the end of the day, like, you're playing a Saints team that's 2-9, that struggles to score, that, Alvin Kamara is getting an MRI on his knee. They're starting a rookie quarterback. They're an absolute mess right now. And, you've been playing well without having to dig deep into the bag of tricks. This might be a situation where you just go and you focus on executing. And we'll get a sense of, do they run 6 offensive linemen out there? Is Larry Borum to the outside of Austin Jackson, or vice versa? Does one of them move inside the guard? We'll get some sort of sense of that, but I don't think they need to necessarily go deep into the bag of tricks against the Saints.
Yeah, I don't think so either. But so I'm interested, though, to see how that return impacts the offensive line, and that chemistry should be an interesting thing. So that's the good news on the Dolphins front. Now they're coming in. You did mention, are we talking about the playoff picture? Let's just mention it. We're not going to go deep on it because, we basically told you what needs to happen. Dolphins have to win out and they have to get help. And that is basically, the NFL currently says the Dolphins' chances of making the playoffs are less than 1%. They are currently the 11 seed in the AFC with a 4-7 record. Behind them on the bubble are the Chiefs at 6-5, Texans in 6-5, and Steelers all at 6-5. And then currently the 5th, 6th, and 7th seed in the AFC playoffs. So the teams that are actually in the playoffs if the season ended today, the Chargers, Jaguars, and Bills, all sitting at 7-4. So not only did the Dolphins have to catch up to at least one of those 3 teams, they also have to pass the Steelers, Texans, and Chiefs. And, they've got a head-to-head matchup coming with the Steelers, but like I said, they've got a long way to go, a lot of work to do in order to make the playoffs a thing. So we're not really going to spend time talking about that. And here's what you need to cheer for, and here's what you need to do. No, we're not going to talk about that, because that's kind of not really the point of the season at this point. Where we need to be is continuing to evaluate who are the players on this team that are going to be part of this team beyond this season, because I think we're realistically looking at the very least, a complete retooling of this team, if not a complete rebuild. So, Brain, the Dolphins go into this game against the Saints, and from a Dolphins perspective, they're starting to trend in the right direction from a health perspective. They're getting Austin Jackson back, as we mentioned, and then the rest of the offense is largely kind of in place. Obviously, you lost Tyreek Hill, but that was kind of a foregone conclusion. You know that he was going to be gone for the season, and so now you're going back to how can this team operate at its best. And we have seen this team operate fairly well for stretches of the season. They looked good in stretches against Buffalo. They looked good in stretches against Baltimore. They've looked good in stretches in several different games, but they have not been consistent across the board. And I guess the question is, Brain, is this an opportunity against a Saints team with a decent defense, right? The Saints team is a decent team defensively. You look at their record and you go, well, how could this team be very good? The Saints are bad because their offense is just horrendous, but defensively, they're a very solid team. Can this Dolphins offense finally, against a good defense, put together a complete 60-minute performance with a great showing from the quarterback, running back, wide receivers, offensive line, and tight ends? Is it possible?
Well, I mean, it just depends what you want to see. Like, do I think they're going to go out there and score 50 points? Like just go out there and completely dominate and look perfect? No, I don't think that's going to be the case. But can they go out there and put a few impressive drives together? Can they take advantage of some field position and ultimately play a clean game? Because this is not a game that you need to go out and you probably don't need to score 30 points to beat the Saints. Can you score 24 and be clean and not give the Saints points, not put the Saints in a position where you're giving them a short field or you're giving them points on, with their defense and special teams? Can you get out to a lead in this game and then hold on to that lead, preserve that lead, still be able to move the ball while playing fairly risk-averse football? I don't think I'm not going to expect. I think the Dolphins can come out and play and be very sharp in this game and put up 24 points, 27 points, and us come out of this game thinking, hey, that was a really great performance by the offense. But I think if you're expecting, the Dolphins of 2023 to show up, stands Tyreek Hill, and the Tua that we've seen so far this year, I just think you're setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah, I think that's right. I'm very curious to see how this offense will fare against the Saints. But Brain, do you know? This is just a good trivia question. You remember who the Saints quarterback was the last time these two teams played?
Was it Taysom Hill?
It was not Taysom Hill.
What year was it?
It's 2021.
4 years ago. Was it Desmond Ridder? No, it
was Ian Book.
Oh, Ian Book, the Ian Book game. Yes.
It was Ian Book making his only NFL appearance. Book went 12 of 20 for 135 yards and 2 interceptions, a 40.6 passer rating. He was sacked 8 times that day by the Miami Dolphins. That was when the 2021 Miami Dolphins were having that run of games that they were winning and winning and winning. And everybody's like, oh, this team's going to sneak back into the picture before they went to Tennessee and got blown out in the bad weather.
Yeah, because they were beating the Ian Books and the Mike Whites of the world,
right?
Whoever that
the last time, by the way, so the Dolphins won that game 20-3. So it wasn't even like an outstanding performance. They won it 20-3. We did a watch along for that game. I think that was before Dolphins Talk Extra was a thing. So I'm sure that watch along is still out there. The previous time the Dolphins played New Orleans, I believe, was in London in 2017, and the Dolphins were shut out 20-0. The last time the Dolphins actually scored more than 20 points against the Saints was back in 2009, a game they lost 46-34. Who were the quarterbacks that day, I wonder?
Was
It was
that
Drew Brees for the
2017?
Saints and Chad Henne for the Miami Dolphins.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, so there's the Dolphins.
Jay Cutler in that 2017 game?
No, Chad Henne. Oh, in 2017?
Yeah, I think that was Jay Cutler. I think that was the year that Tannehill got hurt in the.
It was Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Jay Cutler with a vintage 20 of 28 for 164 yards and a pick.
Smoking Jay.
Smoking Jay. Anyway, that was the last time the Dolphins, some Dolphins Saints history for everybody there. All right. Brain, anything else to think about in terms of this offense? Somebody's asking if we're rooting to start Ewers now or if we're rooting for Miami to win out with Tua. Well, first of all, I'm going to want to dance around the word rooting, but here's the thing. Tua's your quarterback until like they're officially eliminated. I mean, and I think if the Dolphins lose another game at that point, you might as well see what you got with Ewers. Might as well. You might as well.
Well, I like if they're gonna be trying, and we'll talk about this in the offseason, or maybe we'll talk about it if they lose another game and we start having this conversation as we get later into the the depths of the season when it becomes apparent that they're playing out the string. And certainly, like when you get to like the last like game or two of the season, at that point, then and it's clear that you're out of it, then maybe we have that conversation, but. If the goal is to trade Tua, you're not benching him at any meaningful point in the season. And whether you like it or not, whether you agree or not, the fact that they're still quote unquote in the hunt, they're mathematically in the playoff race. These are meaningful games.
I'm just going to say this. With every passing day, the Miami Dolphins are, I think, should be on the phone with the GM in Minnesota and be like, listen, your quarterback situation is dire. That is a team that is trying to win right now. And if Tua Tagovailoa can stay healthy this season, I think you call the Vikings and you're like, we got this guy. You want him? I mean, we're paying most of his salary. Take him off our hands and go try to win something because he's going to be better than what you got with JJ McCarthy right now.
I mean, it won't cost them that much. And like, I don't want to make this the brunt of the show, but like, because we'll have plenty of time to have this conversation.
I'm just saying.
The issue with it is that even if the Dolphins were to pick up $40 million of his salary, you would still have to have a team that's willing to pick up $15 million of his salary and give up some sort of asset, because I don't think the Dolphins are going to be like, here's $40 million. We're going to pick up $40 million of his salary and you're going to give us a 7th round pick. Like, I don't think that's the case. I think they'll still want something at least somewhat meaningful back. And at the end of the day, even if it was nothing, is that team going to want to give up $15 million for a 1-year rental of Tua Tagovailoa when they could probably pay $10 million for a 1-year rental of name your backup quarterback? And that's and so like we'll get into that like in the off season. I think it's a very difficult proposition to trade him. It can be done. I'm not saying it's untradeable. It's gonna be very, very difficult for the Dolphins to trade Tua. And then Mike brings up the other point, which is Minnesota gonna fire Brian Flores? Because if Brian Flores is still in Minnesota, kind of hard to see. I mean, granted, like, is Brian Flores going to be dealing with Tua on the day-to-day? They'll be in the room, but, like, Brian Flores is the defensive coordinator. He's not going to be doing anything with the offensive side of the football.
Sure. Yeah, that's certainly That's certainly very feasible. So we'll see what happens. I get a lot of time to have all of that conversation, but I think that is all to speak to your point of, the Dolphins are probably going to try to do everything in their power to put Tua on display as long as they can, thread the needle of him not ending up getting catastrophically injured. Although if he gets catastrophically injured, it actually makes it a little bit easier for the Dolphins to get out of the situation anyway. But that's neither here nor there, and it's certainly not anything that anybody is actively rooting for, or at least not. And
these contracts guaranteed, so I don't think it matters.
Yeah, but if he has to, if he's forced to medically retire or something like that,
his contract's guaranteed. Like that.
There are ways out of it in terms of the Dolphins cap hit and insurance and all that. Anyway, neither here nor there. There's that. Let's go to the other side of the ball and talk a little bit about this New Orleans Saints offense. Boy, howdy, is this thing a mess. So it looks like they're going to be without Alvin Kamara, who has been dealing with the knee injury in the past few weeks. And now it sounds like he's going to be out. Like, it sounds like he is expected to miss some time here with whatever this injury is. Doesn't sound like it's a bad knee injury, but it is going to be bad enough to keep him out for a little while.
It's bad enough for him to get an MRI. So
yeah, well,
there's some concern there.
In the meantime, they've got their quarterback situation is a complete disaster because they've got Tyler Shough at quarterback, who took over for Spencer Rattler and really has not been much of an improvement. You're seeing them still doing a lot of mixing in of Taysom Hill there, but Shough is just not inspiring a great deal of confidence. This is a team that used a higher, not a premium draft pick on him, but they did use they used a second round pick on him, and he is not performing as well as they would like. And it seems very much like he is not going to be the franchise quarterback that they would like. But otherwise, when you look at this team, it's like their offense is, they've got Chris Olave, who's a very good wide receiver. They traded Rashid Shaheed. So other than that, it's basically Chris Olave and Juwan Johnson, the tight end. And then they've got, Taysom Hill, who can do a bunch of things. And it looks like they're going to start Devin Neal at running back with Kamara out. Because they had lost their other running back, whose name is escaping me right now, that had been their backup running back, but he got hurt earlier this season and is out for the year. Kendre Miller. That's who it was that I was thinking of. So this team is just almost completely bereft of talent on offense. It feels like this is going to be an opportunity for the Miami Dolphins defense, which had been performing pretty well, but then, struggled at times in that game against Washington, to come back and, have a good performance at home against the Saints.
Yeah, I think that the defense didn't play a great game against Washington. I know they only gave up 13 points, and at the end of the day, you're judged by how many points you give up. But the Commanders, missed 2 field goals. They got stopped inside the 5, on a 4th down stand, which, give your defense some credit. But the Commanders came in starting a backup quarterback, having 2 of their top 3 receivers out of the game, and moved the ball pretty well against the Miami Dolphins. But where they had their most success is Mariota did have a solid game, but they ran the ball. They were able to run the ball, and that's been the Achilles heel of this Dolphins defense. They have been getting better at it, or they had been getting better at it. And I think they kind of regressed a little bit in this last game against Washington. And I think you get back to the drawing board after a bye week, you get a little bit healthier, and you play a Saints team that is without Alvin Kamara. And I think that you should be able to do a better job at stopping the run. I think the guy that probably is the most dangerous running the football for the Saints against this Dolphins defense, the way we've seen this defense struggle at times, is probably Taysom Hill.
Yeah, I'd
Because
push
this
back
team,
on that a little bit. Just because he is not the threat that he once was. He's kind of big and slow, and I don't know. And
well,
and obviously, and it's not a
I'm not
surprise
saying
when he
that
runs.
I'm not saying he's Derrick Henry. I'm not saying that he's even Taysom Hill from like 4 years ago. I'm saying the Saints running back situation is so bad right now that Taysom Hill might be the biggest issue for the Dolphins, because where the Dolphins have struggled against the run is, more of these like backs that are getting yards after contact, that are challenging the Dolphins tacklers in space. And so, if Taysom Hill gets in space against a linebacker, like, instead of being driven back, is he going to gain like 4 or 5 yards? At the end of the day, the point is the Saints running game is terrible. The Saints running game is absolutely terrible. As a team, they're averaging 3.6 yards a carry, and they're going to be without Alvin Kamara. The Dolphins, if the Dolphins can't stop the run against the Saints, they can't stop the run against everybody. So I think what it comes down to defensively is, can you not let these guys beat you in the passing game? Can you not get beat by Juwan Johnson and Chris Olave? And so I think it's a little bit of a test for the corners. I don't know if we're going to get Rasul Douglas back this week. We'll have more, as we get closer to the week and we see kind of the injury designations and the practice, and who suits up to practice and who's a limited and full or whatever. But it sounded like Rasul Douglas was kind of trending close towards playing the last game, the game against the Commanders, and now you get a bye week. I would tend to think he's going to play. And, Jack Jones has been playing better as of late. I think they'll be up for the task. And, rookie quarterback. The last time the Dolphins played the Saints, you talked about that Ian Book game. They had 8 sacks in the game. Can the Dolphins get after the quarterback? Can you get after a quarterback that's clearly struggling, that doesn't necessarily get rid of the ball super quickly? Can you throw some wrinkles on the defensive side? Can you force some turnovers? I think there's a lot in this game that should be trending toward in the Dolphins' favor. And it's just a question mark of, look, as much as this is all trending in the Dolphins' favor, the Dolphins have also been a bad football team this year. And they could as much as we like to say that, a lot of people are like, well, things are trending in the right direction. The Dolphins have won 2 games in a row. And one of those games, their last game, very easily could have been a loss. One could say it should have been a loss.
Should have been a loss.
So to say like everything is trending in the right direction, well, you've won 2 games in a row. you didn't win one and lose one. You've won 2 games in a row. So I guess the vibes are good. Get the laundry bins ready. We might be celebrating a third one.
Do you think they brought the laundry bins on the plane to Spain?
No, but I think that they have laundry bins in Spain.
Yeah, they just drive on the other side of the road.
On the other side of the locker room.
Yeah, that's right. I actually don't know if in Spain if they drive on the right or the left. I don't know.
I think I believe, that's a good question, but correct me if I'm wrong. Let us know in the chat or in the comments. I think they drive on the right side of the road everywhere in Europe. I would be my guess.
Except for England.
They drive on the left or the opposite. The opposite side of the road.
You think everywhere in Europe they drive on the left? I don't believe that's true, but
no.
Somebody let us know in the comments. Let us know. Maybe we should talk more on the Patreon show. I bet the people over on Patreon know, because that's where the smartest and most engaged people are. They're over on Patreon, which is, by the way, Dolphins Talk Extra, or I'm sorry, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Take advantage of those codes. BF25 to save 50% on an annual membership starting on Friday, running through Monday. And then additionally, you can get your first month for $1 using promo code DTXmas over there at patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. All right, Brain. I'm traveling.
Well, hold on.
You got information?
I got information. everybody drives on the right except the United Kingdom, Ireland, Malta, and Cyprus.
There it is.
There it is.
So it's really just a handful of countries that drive on the wrong side of the road. And I know we've got some UK listeners. You guys drive on the wrong side of the road. The fact that everybody else is on the right proves it. Anyway. All right. So I'm traveling. So I did not have the opportunity to send out the call for hot takes this week, Brain. But it is, in fact, time for our hashtag one hot take. So I want to know, Brain, and if you're watching live on the Dolphins Talk YouTube channel, the I'm a Miami Dolphin fan Facebook page, let us know right now in the chat. Let us know, what is your hashtag one hot take for Saints at Dolphins this Sunday? Brain, take it away.
I'm going Devon Achane 200 yards from scrimmage. It might.
I wouldn't call it a hot take. I'd call it
250. 250. Is that enough?
250 is pretty hot. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs just had like 260 something yards from scrimmage yesterday, which I'm
predicting it would have been a hot take.
Yes. So 250 that's a hot take. Great. Okay. I will give you my hot take. By the way, do you think there is a Giants podcast asking for hot takes and somebody had predicted Jameis Winston receiving touchdown? Because that was probably the most fun moment of week 12 of the NFL season, was watching Jameis Winston. Not just, first of all, once it became clear that Olszewski was going to throw the ball to him, it started to become fun instantly. Then, not only does Jameis make the reception, he breaks a tackle to get a 33-yard receiving touchdown. Jameis Winston remains one of just probably one of the most fun players in the entire league.
Let me ask you a question. Jameis Winston, future Miami Dolphin?
I mean, he might be a future Minnesota Viking.
If you're the Minnesota Vikings, would you rather pay for Jameis Winston or would you rather trade for Tua Tagovailoa?
I think I'd rather pay for Jameis Winston.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah, that is the problem. All right, well, let's see. We did get a hot take come in the chat from Chris Garza. He says, Tua, 3 touchdowns, 250 yards. Okay.
I don't know how hot that is.
It's not exactly a scorching hot
take. If 250 from scrimmage, if it takes 250 from scrimmage for Devon Achane to be a hot take.
Here's a hot take from B McD 13. Chop Robinson gets 3 sacks. Yeah. That is a hot take.
That's a hot take.
That is a very hot take. Chop Robinson has been, I'm going to say, a little disappointing this year.
A little disappointing. I'd say he's been a lot disappointing.
Yeah. So, all right, there it is. So there's our hot takes from the audience. Keep them coming in as we're here live. If you have them, share them with us. We'll share them. I'm going to give you mine. Longtime listeners of the show will be very surprised at the hot take that I'm about to drop. Alec Ingold receiving touchdown. This is the week. And Brain can attest, because we've now watched a couple of games together this season, which is one of the beautiful things about having the Brain locally, is that we get to watch the game together occasionally. Anytime the Dolphins get a 1st and goal at I would say inside the 10, but it's got to be closer to the 5-yard line. Anytime the Dolphins get a 1st and goal around the 5-6 yard line, that's when I make my call. I'm like, this is it. This is the moment for the Alec Ingold receiving touchdown. And Mike McDaniel, with all of his brain dead dummy play calling when he gets down around the goal line, for some reason, still has not dug into the bag of tricks to have Tua Tagovailoa. Where is the design pass play where Alec Ingold is the first read? Where is it? Make it happen. I've seen him catch passes before. Do it in the end zone. That's my hot take.
I agree. It's right there. We get excited. Literally every Dolphins game now. At this point. Look, if you watch the show, if you listen to the show, I'm not very excited about the prospects of the rest of this season and about rooting for the Dolphins to win. I'm really actively rooting for this team to lose, whether you agree with it or not. And so the most exciting thing that happens in these Dolphins games is the Dolphins get a 1st and goal. And I'm like, this could be the moment. This could be the moment. If Alec Ingold can, it would be, this is going to be after Thanksgiving. So it'll be a post-Thanksgiving miracle. It would really kick off the holiday season, because I know for some people, the holiday season doesn't really start until Thanksgiving. So if Thanksgiving is the official start of the holiday season, how about Alec Ingold gets the holiday season off to a great start with a receiving touchdown?
How many Miami Dolphins this season have caught a touchdown pass?
I'll tell you in just a second.
Because it's got to be up around 10 guys.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, that's it, huh?
Yeah. Jalen Waddle with 5, Achane and Waller with 4, Malik Washington with 2, Ollie Gordon with 1, Tyreek Hill with 1.
Okay. 6 guys. Why not?
All
7?
from Tua.
Why not 7? Why not Alec Ingold? Listen, Jason Sanders has a receiving touchdown for the Miami Dolphins. Why not Alec Ingold? That's all I'm saying. Let's just make it happen.
I mean, outside of the guys that have caught touchdowns, you've got Nick Westbrook-Akine has 11 catches. You got Tanner Connor with 9 catches. He's not going to play.
He's not on the team anymore.
Yeah. Julian Hill. I don't know.
I guess he's on the practice squad. But
yeah, I don't know if Julian Hill is going to play or not, but I don't know. I don't think Taj Washington is going to be active. D. Eskridge and Cedric Wilson, they don't get out there with the offense.
Oh, Wilson's been out there a little bit in the last few weeks.
A little bit. Yeah, I suppose there's a shot. Greg Dulcich is the one that gets in the way.
Oh, see, and it'll be him. It'll be Dulcich.
And if Waller plays, then forget about it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, reminder to everybody, if you haven't done so already, this is a good time to, really the time to do it was last week, was to pick up, when the Dolphins were on bye, was to pick up Darren Waller off of waivers in your fantasy league. But, some people have that vision. Some people are on a 22-game winning streak in their fantasy football league. So.
Oh, what's your record in that league?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Well, right now, let me pull it up. Let's pull it up. Brain wants everybody to know that he's the one team that beat me this year by less than a point. I have, in our home league, like everybody cares about our fantasy football league. In our home league, I am 21-1 on the season, about to be 23-1 because I beat my opponent and the median. We play against the median, which is the correct way to play fantasy football, is to play against the league median so that you don't just end up winless if you get dealt a bad beat. If you're the second highest team in your league and you were playing the first highest team, you should get something from it. So we play against the league median. I lost week 1 of the season. This son of a bitch. I guess I shouldn't say that about my brother. Yeah, I shouldn't say that. But week 1 of the NFL season, this guy was the number 3 scoring team in the league. I was the number 4. Aaron beat me 169.54 to 168.58. My only loss of the fantasy season in that league. Am I bitter about it? I will not be bitter about it if I end up winning the championship. Actually, it'll be like a little nagging, like if you it's like a scar. It'll be a little scar on my arm that I look down and I'm like, yep, I would have had a perfect fantasy season if I didn't lose to Aaron by 0.96 points to start the season. But anyway, that team is doing well and was buoyed by 69 points or whatever it was from Jahmyr Gibbs over the weekend. Anyway, all right, let's make a game prediction here so we can get out of here and head on over to Patreon and do our bonus segment, which, by the way, once again, you can join us over there at patreon.com/DolphinsTalk to join Dolphins Talk Extra and get all of the bonus segments that we've done so far, plus this next one that's coming up. But Brain, here we go. Final score prediction Sunday, Saints at Dolphins. What you got?
I think the Dolphins are going to come out and play motivated football. I think they're going to look sharp coming off of the bye. I think the running game is going to be working. We've seen the running game progressively getting better, and getting Austin Jackson, I think, will help that much more. So I think that's going to help the offense, and they're not going to be needing Tua to sling the ball all over the field. On the other side of the ball, with the Saints being, hapless on offense, I think the defense will do a solid enough job so that this game really won't be in jeopardy. I think the Dolphins defense gets some turnovers in this game, perhaps even a defensive touchdown, and the Dolphins win it relatively easy. Maybe they give up a garbage time touchdown to make it look a little bit closer, but I've got Miami 34-17.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I see this game going similarly. The way I imagine it is one of those games where the Dolphins have a really hot start. Touchdowns on their first couple of possessions. They get stopped on the third possession, have to kick a field goal, get another touchdown. Like, this is like a Dolphins lead at halftime, 24-6 kind of game to me. And then the Saints, as they do, because they're an NFL team, will make adjustments in the second half. And the Dolphins, because they're not an NFL team, won't make those adjustments, or they're not coached by an NFL head coach, I should say. The Dolphins won't make those adjustments, and it'll be a little bit more of a slog in the second half. And I think the Dolphins they'll end up winning the game. They'll end up winning it fairly comfortably. I just think it's going to be an ugly second half. So, I think it's going to be one of those games where the Dolphins end up winning like 30-13 or something like that. Like, it, where they start out, you'd think it's like, oh, they're going to be scoring all day long. And then they get to the second half and, it just kind of becomes a slog a little bit. Jordan Murray says Miami 48, New Orleans 12 in the chat, which is interesting. What do you think the score is going to be? Let us know in the comments below. We appreciate it very much. That is going to be a wrap for this episode of the Same Old Dolphin Show. Here's the deal. We are not going to have a show this Thursday because this Thursday is Thanksgiving here in the United States of America. So on Thursday, you are going to get a little treat in the Dolphins Talk podcast feed. So keep an eye for it. It will feature the Brain. It will feature myself, and it will also feature Mike Oliva. But that is going to come to you on Thursday. It's already recorded. It's in the can. It's ready to go. That's coming your way Thursday. And then we will be back live with a reaction show next Monday after I return home and after everybody has a wonderful Thanksgiving. So, if you are not a Dolphins Talk Extra subscriber, you will not see us until next Monday, at least in a live sense. If you are a Dolphins Talk Extra subscriber, head on over to Patreon because we're going to be over there live in just a few minutes. For everybody else, wherever you are, have a safe, happy, healthy Thanksgiving. Enjoy some time with your family. Enjoy some good football games that day. Hopefully there's good food. Hopefully you're in a place where you're able to spend that day with people that you love and enjoy being around. And if you can't do that, hopefully you can enjoy some time with your family. Thank you very much for listening to the Same Old Dolphin Show. We appreciate you. We love you. And thank you for listening. Thank you for following. And we will talk to you again next week. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And as always, go Dolphins!
I can't be the only one who confuses Desmond Ritter for Spencer Rattler.